the year 1847, in a small village called Moonhaven, there lived a girl named Rosalie. She had golden hair that shined like sunlight. Her eyes were blue like the summer sky. Everyone said she was the most beautiful girl in all the land. But beauty could not save her from a terrible fate. Rosalie lived with her stepfather Marcus. He was a cruel man with cold eyes. Her real father had died when she was just 10 years old. Her mother had died the year after. Marcus only kept Rosalie because she could work hard in his shop. Every day Rosalie woke up. Before the sun rose, she cleaned the house. She cooked the food. She worked in the bakery that Marcus owned. Her hands were always covered in flour. Her back always hurt from carrying heavy bags. But Rosalie never complained. She had a kind heart. She always smiled at the customers. She gave extra bread to the poor children. Everyone in the village loved her sweet nature. Marcus hated this about her. One cold morning in December, Marcus called Rosalie into his office. His face was red with anger. On his desk were many papers covered in numbers. "Sit down, girl," he said in a harsh voice. Rosalie sat down slowly. Her heart was beat fast. She could see the anger in his eyes. "I have terrible news," Marcus said. "I owe a lot of money to some very dangerous men. If I do not pay them back, they will kill me." Rosalie's eyes grew wide with fear. "How much money do you owe?" 5,000 gold coins, Marcus said. "More money than I will ever have." Rosalie felt sick to her stomach. 5,000 gold coins was enough money to buy a whole farm or a big house in the city. How could Marcus owe so much? "There is only one way to save my life," Marcus continued. His voice became very quiet. "I must sell you." The words hit Rosalie like a punch to the chest. She could not breathe. She could not think. "Sell me?" she whispered. Like a horse?" "Exactly like a horse," Marcus said with no feeling in his voice. "There is a man who lives in the dark mountains. He is very rich. He will pay 5,000 gold coins for a young, pretty wife." Rosalie started to shake. She had heard terrible stories about the dark mountains. It was a place where no flowers grew, where the sun never shined bright. People said monsters lived there. "Please," Rosalie begged. Tears started falling down her cheeks. "Please, don't do this to me. I will work harder. I will find another way to get the money." Marcus stood up and slammed his hand on the desk. "There is no other way. The men will come tomorrow. If I don't have their money, I will be dead. And then what will happen to you?" Rosalie knew he was right. If Marcus died, she would have nowhere to go, no family to take care of her. She would probably die too. What is this man like?" she asked in a tiny voice. Marcus looked away from her. "His name is Lord Damien Blackwood. He is 28 years old. He is very rich. He owns all the land in the dark mountains. But what is he like as a person?" Rosalie asked again. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Finally he said, "He was hurt in a war. His face and body have many scars. Some people call him the Beast of Blackwood Castle." Rosalie felt like the world was spinning around her. A beast. She was being sold to a beast. "The wedding will happen next week," Marcus said. "Pack your things. A carriage will come for you tomorrow morning." That night, Rosalie could not sleep. She walked around her tiny room, looking at all her things. Her mother's old dress, a book of poems her father had given her, a small doll she had kept since she was little. How could she fit her whole life into one small bag? She sat by her window and looked out at the village. She could see the bakery where she had worked every day, the church where her parents were buried, the little school where she had learned to read. She would never see any of it again. When the sun rose, Rosalie heard the sound of horses outside. Her heart started beating very fast. She looked out the window and saw a big black carriage. It looked like something from a nightmare. The driver was a man dressed all in black. He had a long scar across his face. When he saw Rosalie looking at him, he smiled, but it was not a nice smile. Marcus came into her room without knocking. "Time to go," he said. Rosalie picked up her small bag. It had everything she owned in the world. She followed Marcus down the stairs and out the front door. Some of the village people had come to watch. Mrs. Peterson from the flower shop was crying. Old Mr. James took off his hat when he saw her. Even the children looked sad. "Please," Rosalie whispered to Marcus one last time. "Please don't make me do this." Marcus grabbed her arm and pushed her toward the carriage. "Get in. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." The scary driver opened the carriage door. Inside, it was all black. The seats were made of black leather. The windows had black curtains. Rosalie climbed inside. She felt like she was climbing into her own grave. "Wait," called a voice from the crowd. Everyone turned to look. It was Father Michael from the church. He was a kind old man who had been friends with Rosalie's parents. "At least let the girl say goodbye properly," he said to Marcus. Marcus looked angry, but he could not say no to the priest in front of all these people. Father Michael came over to the carriage. He took Rosalie's hands in his. "Remember, child," he said softly. "God has a plan for everyone. Sometimes the darkest paths lead to the brightest light." Rosalie nodded, but she did not believe him. How could anything good come from this? Father Michael pressed something small into her hand. It was a tiny wooden cross that had belonged to her mother. "Keep this close to your heart," he said. "It will remind you that you are never truly alone." Then the carriage door slammed shut. The horses started moving. Rosalie pressed her face to the window and watched her village get smaller and smaller until it disappeared completely. The journey to the dark mountains took 3 days. Rosalie barely ate anything. The driver never spoke to her. Every night they stopped at scary old inns. Rosalie locked her door and cried herself to sleep. On the 3rd day, the mountains appeared in front of them. They were huge and black and covered in dark clouds. No sunlight seemed to touch them. As they got closer, Rosalie could see a massive castle sitting on top of the highest mountain. It had tall black towers that reached up into the clouds. It looked like something from a nightmare. "Blackwood Castle," the driver said. These were the first words he had spoken during the whole trip. The carriage started climbing a winding road up the mountain. It got colder and colder. Rosalie pulled her thin cloak around her shoulders, but it did not help much. Finally, they reached the castle gates. They were made of thick, black iron and covered in spikes. 2 guards opened them without saying a word. The carriage rolled into a huge courtyard. The castle was even bigger up close. It looked like it could house 1,000 people, but it felt empty, dead, like no one had been happy here for a very long time. The carriage stopped in front of the main door. It was twice as tall as a normal door and made of dark wood. "Get out," the driver said. Rosalie climbed out of the carriage with shaking legs. The mountain air was so cold it hurt to breathe. The main door opened with a loud creaking sound. An old woman came out. She was dressed all in black. Her hair was completely white. Her face looked like it had never smiled. "You must be the girl Marcus sold," the woman said. Her voice sounded like old paper being torn. "My name is Rosalie," Rosalie said quietly. "I am Mrs. Grimsby," the woman replied. "I run this household. You will do exactly as I say, when I say it. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am," Rosalie whispered. Good. Follow me. Mrs. Grimsby led Rosalie through the castle. The halls were enormous and dark. The walls were covered with old paintings of stern-looking people. Their eyes seemed to follow Rosalie as she walked. There were hundreds of rooms. Most of them had their doors closed. The few rooms Rosalie could see into were covered in dust sheets. The master does not like visitors, Mrs. Grimsby explained. Most of the castle has been closed off for years. Where is Lord Blackwood? Rosalie asked. Mrs. Grimsby stopped walking and turned to look at her. The master keeps to himself during the day. You will meet him at dinner tonight. They walked up a long staircase to the second floor. Mrs. Grimsby opened a door and showed Rosalie into a bedroom. It was the most beautiful room Rosalie had ever seen. The bed was huge with silk curtains. There was a fireplace with a warm fire already burning. The windows looked out over the mountains. This is your room, Mrs. Grimsby said. A bath has been prepared for you. Clean clothes are on the bed. Dinner is at 8 o'clock sharp. Do not be late. Then she left, closing the door behind her. Rosalie looked around the room in amazement. It was bigger than the entire house she had lived in with Marcus. The bathtub was made of white marble. The water was warm and smelled like roses. For the first time in 3 days, Rosalie felt a tiny bit better. She took a long bath and washed her hair. The clean clothes were made of soft blue silk. They fit her perfectly. There was a mirror on the wall. When Rosalie looked at herself, she almost didn't recognize the girl looking back. She looked like a real lady now, not a baker's servant, but she was still scared. In a few hours, she would meet the man she was supposed to marry, the man people called a beast. When 8 o'clock came, Mrs. Grimsby knocked on her door. Time for dinner, she said. Rosalie followed her down to the dining room. It was enormous, with a table long enough for 50 people, but only 2 places were set, at opposite ends of the table. Wait here, Mrs. Grimsby said. The master will be down soon. Rosalie stood by her chair, too nervous to sit down. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was beating so fast, she thought it might jump out of her chest. Then she heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, heavy footsteps getting closer and closer. Rosalie held her breath. The door opened. A man walked in, but he stayed in the shadows near the doorway. Rosalie could not see his face clearly. Please, sit down, he said. His voice was deep and rough, but not mean. It actually sounded sad. Rosalie sat down in her chair. The man walked slowly to the other end of the table and sat down too. Now she could see him in the light from the candles. Rosalie tried very hard not to gasp. Lord Damien Blackwood was tall and strong-looking. His hair was black as midnight, but the right side of his face was covered in scars. They looked like claw marks from some terrible animal. His right eye was pale and cloudy. He could probably not see out of it very well. His right hand was also covered in scars. Some of his fingers looked like they did not bend properly anymore. But his left eye was the most beautiful green Rosalie had ever seen, and when he looked at her, she saw something she did not expect. Kindness. I know I am not pleasant to look at, Lord Damien said quietly. I understand if you are frightened. Rosalie surprised herself by saying, I am not frightened of how you look. I am frightened because I do not know you. Lord Damien looked shocked. You are not afraid of my scars? My father taught me that scars just show that someone survived something terrible, Rosalie said. They do not make a person bad. For the first time, Lord Damien almost smiled. Your father sounds like he was a wise man. He was, Rosalie said softly. I miss him very much. Servants brought in the food. It was the most delicious meal Rosalie had ever eaten. Roasted chicken with herbs. fresh bread that was still warm, vegetables from the garden, sweet cakes for dessert. During dinner, Lord Damien asked her about her life in the village. He listened carefully to every word she said. He asked about the books she liked to read, her favorite flowers, what made her happy. No one had ever been so interested in what she thought about things. "May I ask you something?" Rosalie said when they were finishing their meal. "Of course." "How did you get hurt?" Lord Damien was quiet for a long time. Rosalie worried that she had asked something too personal. Finally he said, "I was a soldier in the war. My company was attacked by enemy soldiers. I was trying to help a wounded friend when an explosion went off right next to us." "Did your friend survive?" Rosalie asked. "Yes," Lord Damien said. "He lived and went home to his family. I was in the hospital for 8 months. When I finally came home, people could not stand to look at me." Rosalie felt very sad for him. "That must have been very lonely." "It was," he admitted. "I have lived alone in this castle for 3 years now. You are the first person to eat dinner with me in all that time." After dinner, Lord Damien walked Rosalie back to her room. "I want you to know," he said as they stopped outside her door, "you do not have to be afraid of me. I will never hurt you. And if you truly cannot stand being married to me, I will give you money to go anywhere you want." Rosalie looked up at his scarred face. In the candlelight, she could see past the scars to the kind man underneath. "Thank you," she said. "That means more to me than you know." "Good night, Rosalie," he said softly. "Good night, Lord Damien." The next few days passed quietly. Rosalie explored the castle and the gardens. There was a huge library filled with thousands of books, a music room with a beautiful piano, gardens that had been beautiful once but were now overgrown with weeds. Every evening she had dinner with Lord Damien. Each night they talked a little more. She learned that he loved to read. He knew everything about history and science. He was trying to write a book about his travels before the war. She also learned that he was incredibly lonely. The servants were afraid of him because of his scars. The people in the nearby villages whispered terrible stories about him. Some even said he was cursed by dark magic. But Rosalie could see the truth. Lord Damien was just a man who had been hurt badly, both inside and outside. One evening at dinner, Rosalie asked, "Why did you agree to marry me? You could have any woman you wanted." Lord Damien laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Look at me, Rosalie. What woman would want to marry a monster?" "You are not a monster," Rosalie said firmly. "You are the kindest man I have ever met." Lord Damien stared at her in shock. You really mean that?" "Yes, I do." That night, something changed between them. Lord Damien started smiling more. He showed Rosalie his favorite places in the castle. The tower room where he watched the stars. The old armory where his grandfather's sword was kept. Rosalie started helping him take care of the gardens. Together, they planted new flowers. They fixed the broken fountain in the courtyard. Every day, Rosalie found new reasons to admire Lord Damien. He was smart and funny. He treated all the servants with respect. He sent money to help poor families in the villages, even though they were afraid of him. But the most amazing thing was how he looked at her, like she was the most precious thing in the world. No one had ever looked at her that way before. 3 weeks after Rosalie arrived at the castle, something terrible happened. She was in the garden, picking flowers, when she heard shouting from the courtyard. She ran to see what was wrong. A group of men on horses had arrived at the castle gates. They were dirty and rough-looking. They all carried swords and guns. Mrs. Grimsby was talking to them, but Rosalie could see she was scared. "Where is the girl?" one of the men shouted. "We know she's here." Rosalie's blood turned to ice. She recognized the man's voice. It was Blackheart Joe, the most dangerous criminal in all the land. These must be the men that Marcus owed money to. Lord Damien came running out of the castle. When he saw the men, his face became very serious. "What do you want?" he demanded. "We want the girl," Blackheart Joe said. "Marcus still owes us money. Since he sold the girl to you, that debt belongs to you now." "I paid Marcus 5,000 gold coins," Lord Damien said. "That should be enough to pay any debt." Blackheart Joe laughed evilly. "The debt has grown. Marcus now owes us 10,000 gold coins. Give us the girl and we'll call it even." "Never," Lord Damien said. Rosalie felt her heart jump. He was protecting her. "Then we'll take her by force," Blackheart Joe said. The criminal and his men started to get off their horses. They all drew their weapons. Lord Damien pulled out his sword. Even with his scarred hand, he held it perfectly. "Stay back, Rosalie," he called to her. But there were 8 criminals and only one Lord Damien. Rosalie could see he was going to be badly outnumbered. Without thinking, she ran toward the castle. She had to get help somehow. "Where are you going, pretty girl?" one of the criminals called after her. Rosalie ran into the castle and up to Lord Damien's study. She remembered seeing something there that might help. On his desk was a horn. Mrs. Grimsby had told her it was used to call for help in emergencies. Rosalie grabbed the horn and ran to the window. She blew it as hard as she could. The sound echoed across the mountains like thunder. Then she ran back outside to help Lord Damien. When she got to the courtyard, a fight had already started. Lord Damien was fighting 3 men at once. He was incredibly skilled with his sword, but the criminals kept trying to attack him from behind. Rosalie looked around for something to help with. She saw a pile of rocks by the fountain. She started throwing rocks at the criminals. She had good aim from years of playing games with the village children. "Leave him alone," she shouted. One of the criminals turned toward her with an evil grin. "Come here, little girl. We have plans for you." But before he could reach her, something amazing happened. The horn had worked. People were coming to help. First, the castle guards came running from their posts. Then, villagers from the nearby town arrived. They had heard the emergency horn and come to see what was wrong. When they saw the criminals attacking Lord Damien and Rosalie, they joined the fight. "Protect Lord Damien," one of the villagers shouted. "He's helped all of us." Rosalie was amazed. These people weren't afraid of Lord Damien. They respected him. The fight was over quickly. The criminals were outnumbered by 20 to 1. Blackheart Joe and his men were tied up and taken to jail. When it was all over, Lord Damien came over to Rosalie. He had a cut on his cheek, but he was not badly hurt. "Are you all right?" he asked, checking her for injuries. "I'm fine," Rosalie said, "but you're hurt." "It's nothing," Lord Damien said. But Rosalie could see he was shaking. "You could have been killed protecting me," she whispered. "I would die before I let anyone hurt you," Lord Damien said. His green eye looked directly into hers. That's when Rosalie realized the truth. She was in love with him. Not because he was rich or powerful, not because he had saved her from the criminals. She loved him because he had the most beautiful heart she had ever known. "Damien," she said softly. It was the first time she had used his first name. "Yes, I want to marry you. Not because I have to, because I want to." Lord Damien stared at her like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You want to marry me, even though I look like this?" Rosalie reached up and gently touched the scars on his face. "Especially because you look like this," she said. "These scars show me that you are brave, that you care more about helping others than about yourself. that you have survived terrible things and still have kindness in your heart. But I'm a beast, Lord Damien whispered. No, Rosalie said firmly. You're my treasure. Lord Damien's eyes filled with tears. He pulled Rosalie into his arms and held her tight. I love you, he whispered into her hair. I have loved you since the first night you had dinner with me. When you looked at me and saw a person instead of a monster. I love you too, Rosalie whispered back. They were married 1 month later. The wedding was held in the village church where Rosalie's parents were buried. Father Michael performed the ceremony. All the villagers came to celebrate. They had learned that Lord Damien was not a beast at all. He was a hero who had been helping their community for years without taking credit. Mrs. Grimsby cried happy tears. She had worked for the Blackwood family for 30 years and had never seen Lord Damien so happy. After the wedding, Lord Damien and Rosalie went back to the castle. But it didn't feel dark and lonely anymore. It felt like home. They spent their days working together in the gardens, reading books in the library, taking long walks in the mountains. Every evening they had dinner together and talked about their dreams for the future. 6 months after their wedding, Rosalie had wonderful news. Damien, she said one morning at breakfast, I'm going to have a baby. Lord Damien dropped his coffee cup. It shattered on the floor, but he didn't notice. A baby, he whispered. Really? Really, Rosalie said, smiling. Lord Damien jumped up from his chair and spun Rosalie around the room. We're going to have a family, he said, laughing and crying at the same time. 9 months later, their daughter was born. She had Rosalie's golden hair and Damien's green eyes. They named her Hope. As Rosalie held her tiny daughter in her arms, she thought about everything that had happened. A year ago, she had thought her life was over. She had been sold like property to a man she was terrified to meet. But that terrible day had led her to the greatest love of her life. Lord Damien came into the nursery and sat down next to her. What are you thinking about? He asked softly. I'm thinking about how lucky I am, Rosalie said. A year ago, I thought I was being sold to a beast, but I found my greatest treasure instead. I'm the lucky one, Damien said, kissing her forehead. You saved me, Rosalie. You taught me that I was worth loving. Little Hope opened her eyes and looked up at her parents. She made a tiny sound, like she was trying to say hello. She's perfect, Damien whispered. Just like her father, Rosalie said. As the sun set over the dark mountains, the Blackwood family sat together in their nursery. The castle that had once been cold and empty was now filled with love and laughter, and they all lived happily ever after. But wait, there's more to this story. Years passed, and Hope grew into a beautiful young woman. She had her father's intelligence and her mother's kind heart. One day, when Hope was 18, a messenger arrived at the castle with shocking news. Lord Damien, the messenger said, I bring word from the capital city. The king is very sick. He has no sons to inherit his throne. He has chosen you to be the next king of all the land. Rosalie gasped. King? But why Damien? Because, the messenger explained, the people love him. They have heard stories of his kindness and bravery. They want him to be their leader. Lord Damien looked shocked. But I am scarred. How can I be king when people are afraid to look at me? That's exactly why you should be king, the messenger said. The people have learned that a man's worth is not in his face, but in his heart. And you, Lord Damien, have the biggest heart in all the kingdom. So Lord Damien became King Damien. Rosalie became Queen Rosalie. And Hope became Princess Hope. They moved to the capital city, but they kept Blackwood Castle as their home. Every summer they would return to the mountains where their love story began. King Damien was the best ruler the kingdom had ever known. He made laws to protect people who were different or hurt. He built hospitals for wounded soldiers. He made sure every child could go to school, no matter how poor their family was. Queen Rosalie started programs to help young women who had no families. She made sure no girl would ever be sold like property again. And Princess Hope grew up knowing that true beauty comes from kindness, not from having a perfect face. The kingdom prospered under King Damien's rule. People came from other lands just to see the scarred king who ruled with love instead of fear. But the most amazing part of their story was still to come. When Princess Hope turned 21, she fell in love with a young man who worked in the castle stables. His name was Thomas, and he had been born with a club foot that made him walk with a limp. Other nobles made fun of Thomas and said he wasn't good enough for a princess. But Princess Hope had learned from her parents that love sees the heart, not the body. "I want to marry Thomas," she told her parents. King Damien smiled. "Does he make you happy?" "Happier than I've ever been," Hope said. "Does he treat you with kindness and respect?" Queen Rosalie asked. "He treats me like I'm the most precious thing in the world," Hope answered. "Then you have our blessing," King Damien said. The wedding of Princess Hope and Thomas was the biggest celebration the kingdom had ever seen. People came from every corner of the land to witness the marriage. During the ceremony, King Damien stood up to make a speech. "Today, my daughter is marrying the man she loves," he said. "Some people have said that Thomas is not good enough because he walks with a limp. But I say that Thomas is perfect because he has shown my daughter what true love means." The king paused and looked out at all the people in the church. 25 years ago, I was a broken man. My face was scarred. My body was damaged. I thought no one could ever love me. But a brave young woman saw past my scars. To the man inside, she taught me that we are all worthy of love, no matter what we look like on the outside. King Damien reached over and took Queen Rosalie's hand. "My wife was sold to me like property when she was only 17 years old, but she became my greatest treasure. She saved my life by showing me that I was worth saving." There wasn't a dry eye in the church. Even the tough soldiers were wiping away tears. "So today," King Damien continued, "we celebrate not just a wedding, but a reminder that love is the most powerful force in the world. It can heal any wound. It can mend any broken heart. It can turn even the darkest curse into the greatest blessing." Princess Hope and Thomas kissed, and the whole kingdom cheered. As the years went by, the story of the beast and his treasure became legend. People told it to their children and grandchildren. They told how a young girl's kindness had transformed a lonely, scarred man into the greatest king in history. They told how true love had turned a dark, empty castle into a home filled with joy. They told how the girl who was sold as property became the most beloved queen who ever lived. But most importantly, they told how everyone, no matter how they looked, no matter what had happened to them, was worthy of love. And in the end, that was the greatest treasure of all. Elena stood by her bedroom window, watching rain fall on grey stones below. Her right leg ached. It always ached. The limp made her different, made her flawed. She heard them again. Voices from the dining hall, sharp, cold, talking about her. "She walks like a cripple," her mother said. The words cut deep. They always did. Elena touched the glass. It felt cold, like her mother's heart, like her future. Her father's voice joined in. "No man will want her, not with that problem." The problem, that's what they called her leg, her birth defect, her shame. Elena closed her eyes. 3 years ago she fell from a horse. The break never healed right. Now she walked with a slight drag. Now she was broken. She's 18 now, her mother continued. What will we do with her? Elena's hands shook. She knew what came next. She always knew. Find someone, anyone. We cannot keep her here forever. Her father sighed. Who would take a flawed girl? Flawed. The word hit like a slap. Elena bit her lip. Tears came, but she fought them back. She limped to her mirror, looked at herself. Brown hair, brown eyes, plain face, weak leg. Maybe they're right, she whispered. Maybe I am just broken. But deep inside, a small spark still burned. Tiny, almost gone. But there, that spark would change everything. The next morning brought news. Elena sat at breakfast. Her parents watched her eat. Their eyes were cold. We have found you a husband, her mother announced. Elena's spoon dropped. It hit the bowl with a sharp ring. His name is Marcus, her father said. He owns land up north. He needs a wife. Why? Elena asked. Her voice was small, scared. Her parents looked at each other. Something passed between them. He has his own problems, her mother said. You'll suit each other. Problems. Elena's heart sank. What kind of problems? When? She asked. 2 weeks, her father said. You'll leave then. 2 weeks. Elena felt the world spin. 2 weeks to say goodbye to everything she knew. I don't want to go, she whispered. Her mother's face turned hard. Want? You think you have a choice? The words stung. Elena looked down at her plate. You are a burden here, her mother continued. This marriage, it's your only chance. Burden. The word settled in Elena's chest like a stone. Her father nodded. Be grateful someone will take you. Take her. Like she was goods at a market. Damaged goods. Elena excused herself, limped to her room, closed the door. She sat on her bed and finally let the tears come. But even as she cried, that spark inside grew a little brighter. Maybe this was her chance to escape. Maybe this Marcus, maybe he would be different. Maybe. Marcus stood in his study. Papers covered his desk. Estate business. Always estate business. But his mind was elsewhere. 3 years ago. The fire. Sarah's scream. He closed his eyes, tried to push the memory away. It never worked. People still whispered about him. In town. At church. Everywhere. There goes Marcus, they'd say. The one who killed his sister. Killed. The word was wrong. But how could he explain? Sarah was only 16. Sweet, kind, full of life. The fire started in the kitchen. Spread fast, too fast. Marcus ran into the flames, searched every room, called her name. He found her, but too late. The smoke had taken her. He carried her out, tried to breathe life back into her lungs, but she was gone. There, the town needed someone to blame. Marcus was easy. He was the brother. He should have saved her. Why wasn't he watching her? They asked. Why didn't he get there sooner? What kind of brother lets his sister die? Marcus asked himself the same things. Every day, every night. He stopped going to town, stopped seeing friends, stopped living. His estate ran itself. His servants were loyal. They knew the truth. But truth didn't matter to gossip. Truth didn't bring Sarah back. Tiff. Now his housekeeper stood before him. Mrs. Davies, kind woman. Worried eyes. My lord, she said. About the marriage. Marcus looked up. What about it? Are you sure you don't need to do this? Marcus set down his pen. I've decided. But sir, you barely know her. He didn't. Elena, daughter of a minor lord. That's all he knew. Her father's letter was strange, eager, too eager. She would be grateful for the match, the letter said. Grateful. Why would she be grateful? Unless she has challenges, the letter continued. But she is kind, gentle. Challenges. Marcus understood challenges. I need a fresh start, Mrs. Davies, he said. Maybe we both do. Mrs. Davies nodded, but her eyes stayed worried. That night Marcus walked his halls empty, quiet, full of memories. Sarah used to run through these corridors, laughing, singing. Now they echoed with silence. Maybe a wife would bring life back. Maybe Elena would. He stopped. What was he thinking? This was a business arrangement, nothing more. But as he climbed to his room, he wondered, what kind of challenges did Elena face? And why? Why did her father seem so eager to be rid of her? The carriage rolled up the stone path. Elena pressed her face to the window. Marcus's estate was bigger than she expected. Older, more grand. Fear crept up her throat. What if he was cruel? What if he mocked her limp? The carriage stopped. Elena's heart hammered. A footman opened her door. She stepped out carefully. Her right leg caught slightly. She felt eyes watching, judging. Then, footsteps on gravel. Elena looked up and saw him. Marcus was tall, dark hair, strong jaw, but his eyes held sadness, deep, old sadness. He walked toward her, slow, careful. Elena waited. Her hands shook. He stopped, looked at her, really looked. She waited for the frown, the disappointment, the scorn. Instead, he bowed. Lady Elena, he said. His voice was deep, gentle. She curtsied, nearly lost her balance, caught herself. My lord, she whispered. He straightened. Their eyes met. Welcome to Thornfield, he said. Then, something unexpected. He offered his arm. Elena stared. No one offered to help her walk. Ever. The path is uneven, he explained. I wouldn't want you to stumble. His tone was kind, not mocking, not pitying, just practical. Elena took his arm, felt steadier. They walked toward the house, slow, at her pace. Was your journey comfortable, he asked. Yes, she said. Then added, thank you. For what? She looked at him. For not rushing. Something passed over his face, understanding, recognition. We all have our own pace, he said quietly. Inside, the house was warm. Fires burned in every room. Servants smiled at her. Mrs. Davies appeared. Round face, kind eyes. Welcome, my lady. I'm Mrs. Davies. I run the household. Thank you, Elena said. She felt strange. No one had called her my lady with respect before. Marcus watched the exchange. Mrs. Davies will show you to your rooms. We'll dine at 7. Elena nodded. As she turned to go, he spoke again. Elena. She looked back. I will treat you fairly, he said. You have my word. Fairly, not with love, not with passion, but fairly. It was more than her family had ever offered. At dinner, they sat at opposite ends of a long table. Candles flickered between them. Elena ate quietly, carefully. Tell me about yourself, Marcus said. Elena's fork paused. What would you like to know? Whatever you wish to share, she thought. What could she say? That she was flawed, broken, a burden. I like to read, she said finally. What do you read? Stories, poetry, books about healing. His eyebrows rose. Healing. Elena flushed. I know it's strange, but I find it interesting. It's not strange, he said. It's useful. Useful, not strange, not foolish. Do you read? She asked. Yes. History mostly. Some philosophy. They talked about books, safe topics, easy topics. But Elena noticed things. The way he passed dishes without being asked. The way he waited when she spoke. The way he never stared at her leg. Small things, but kind things. As the meal ended, Marcus stood. I have work to finish. But Elena? Yes? Tomorrow, would you like to see the garden? An invitation. Not an order. An invitation. I would, she said. And meant it. He smiled. Just slightly. But it changed his whole face. Good. Sleep well. Alone in her new room, Elena sat by the window. For the first time in years, she felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Maybe Marcus was different. Maybe she could be different too. The next morning, Elena woke early. Sunlight streamed through tall windows. She dressed carefully, her best day gown, the blue one that hid her limp slightly. Mrs. Davies brought breakfast to her room. The master is waiting in the garden, she said. When you're ready. Elena's stomach fluttered. She ate quickly, then made her way downstairs. The garden door stood open. Fresh air drifted in, sweet, clean. She stepped outside and gasped. Roses everywhere. Red, white, pink. The smell was heavenly. Marcus stood by a fountain. He turned when she appeared. Good morning, he said. Good morning. This is beautiful. My mother planted most of it, he said, before she died. Elena heard sadness in his voice. She had wonderful taste. They walked the paths, slowly. Marcus pointed out different flowers, told their names. Elena listened, but she also watched him. He was gentle with the plants, careful, like he understood fragile things. Do you garden? He asked. A little. My mother never. She didn't encourage it. Why not? Elena hesitated. She said it was beneath our station. Marcus stopped walking. Beneath your station? To create beauty? The way he said it, like the idea was ridiculous. That's what she believed, Elena said quietly. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, what do you believe? The question surprised her. No one ever asked what she believed. I think growing things is magic, she said. Making something beautiful from nothing. Marcus smiled. The real one. Not just politeness. Then we agree, he said. Wait. Days fell into a pattern. Morning walks in the garden. Quiet dinners. Long talks about books. Elena began to relax. Marcus never raised his voice, never mocked her, never seemed disappointed. She started exploring the house, found the library, huge, full of wonderful books. She found the kitchen. Mrs. Davies welcomed her warmly. Would you like to learn some recipes? The housekeeper asked. Could I? Of course, my lady. Cooking is a fine skill. Elena's mother would have been horrified. Ladies didn't cook, but Elena loved it. The smells, the colors, the way ingredients became something wonderful. Marcus found her there one afternoon, flower in her hair, laughing with the cook. You look happy, he said. Elena blushed. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't. Shouldn't what? Enjoy yourself. She looked at him, confused. Elena, he said gently, this is your home now. You can do what makes you happy. Happy? When was the last time someone cared about her happiness? Before. She started helping Mrs. Davies with household tasks, managing supplies, planning meals. Her mother's voice echoed, "That's servant work." But Elena didn't care. She was good at it. People listened to her ideas. Marcus noticed. At dinner one evening, he complimented the meal. "The cook says you suggested the herbs," he said. "Yes, rosemary and thyme. They go well with lamb. It's delicious. You have good instincts." Good instincts. Elena glowed inside. One morning, a servant cut his hand badly. Deep gash from a broken glass. Elena saw the blood, didn't hesitate. "Bring him to the kitchen," she ordered. "Hot water, clean cloth." She cleaned the wound. Bound it properly. The man stopped bleeding. "Thank you, my lady," he said. "It feels much better." Marcus appeared in the doorway. Watched her finish the bandaging. "Where did you learn that?" he asked. "Books, and I used to help our old cook when she hurt herself." "You're very skilled." Skilled. Not flawed. Not useless. Skilled. Word spread. Other servants came to her with small injuries, headaches, stomach troubles. She helped them all. Found she had a talent for it. For the first time in her life, Elena felt useful. More than useful, she felt valued. And Marcus watched it all with growing respect in his eyes. 3 months passed like a gentle dream. Elena no longer walked with her eyes down. Her back was straighter, her voice stronger. Mrs. Davies noticed first. "You're different, my lady," she said one morning, brighter. Elena smiled. "I feel different." It was true. The constant fear was gone. The waiting for criticism, for mockery. Marcus treated her with respect, always. Word of Elena's healing skills spread beyond the estate. A farmer's wife arrived one morning. Her child had fever. "Please, my lady," she begged. "I heard you help people." Elena looked at the sick boy. So small, so hot. "Bring him inside," she said. She made a cool compress. Brewed willow bark tea. Stayed with them all day. By evening, the fever broke. The woman cried with relief. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Elena felt proud, truly proud. More people came, a man with a twisted ankle, a woman with infected cut. Elena helped them all. She started keeping herbs, learning more remedies from books. Marcus found her reading medical texts in the library. "Fascinating," he asked. "Very. Look at this." She showed him a drawing. "This herb stops bleeding." He sat beside her, close enough to see the page, close enough to catch his scent. "You're becoming quite the healer," he said. "Do you mind? I know some people think it's improper." Marcus looked at her seriously. "Elena, you're helping people. There's nothing more proper than that."
Right.
She began teaching village children to read. They came to the estate twice a week. Elena loved watching their faces light up with understanding. C-A-T, cat, she said patiently. "Cat." Little Mary squealed. "I did it." Elena laughed. Pure joy bubbled up inside her. Marcus watched from the doorway. Elena caught his eye. He was smiling. After the children left, he joined her in the garden. "You're a natural teacher," he said. "They're so eager to learn. It's wonderful." They walked in comfortable silence. Then Marcus spoke. "I've been thinking." "About what?" "You could start a proper school. Here, for the village children." Elena stopped walking. "Really? You'd allow that?" "Allow it? Elena, I'd be honored to have it. Honored. To have her school, her work." Elena's eyes filled with tears. Happy tears. Thank you, she whispered. For a moment, they stood close. Very close. Elena felt something stir, warmth, awareness. Marcus felt it too. She could see it in his eyes, but he stepped back, cleared his throat. I should check on the accounts, he said.
He left quickly. Elena touched her cheek. It was burning.
Something was changing between them. Something dangerous and wonderful. That night at dinner, Elena felt different, more aware of Marcus. The way he moved, the way his hands looked holding his wine glass, the way he smiled when she told him about her day. The school idea, she said. I've been thinking about it, and I'd like to do it. Really do it. Then we'll make it happen. We. He said we. Elena's heart skipped. Marcus, she said softly.
Yes?
Thank you for everything, for letting me be myself. His eyes grew warm.
Elena, you don't need to thank me for that.
No one ever, my family never. She stopped, looked down. Marcus reached across the table, covered her hand with his. Their loss, he said quietly, their very great loss. Elena looked up, met his gaze. For a moment, the world disappeared. Just them, just this moment. Then Marcus pulled his hand away. The spell broke, but Elena felt it. The connection. The spark. He felt it too, and that changed everything. Winter came early that year. Snow covered the gardens. Fires burned bright in every room. Elena and Marcus spent more time inside, together. Long evenings, by the fire. Reading, talking. Sometimes just sitting. Elena felt peaceful, safe, something she'd never known before.
Play.
One evening, Marcus seemed troubled. He stared into the flames, lost in thought. Is something wrong? Elena asked. He looked at her, surprised, like he'd forgotten she was there. Nothing important, but Elena could see the pain in his eyes, the same pain she'd noticed that first day. Marcus, she said gently, what happened to your sister? He went very still. Why do you ask? Because it hurts you. And I care about your hurt. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, there was a fire 3 years ago. Elena waited. Let him find the words. She was everything good in this world. Kind, gentle, full of laughter. His voice broke slightly. The fire started in the kitchen. I was in town. When I got back, he stopped, swallowed hard. I tried to save her. I ran into the flames, searched everywhere. Elena's heart broke for him, but I was too late. The smoke, it took her before I could. A tear rolled down his cheek. People blamed me, said I should have been there, should have protected her. But you couldn't have known, Elena whispered. Couldn't I? She was my responsibility, my little sister. Marcus buried his face in his hand. Elena moved without thinking, crossed to his chair, knelt beside him. Marcus, look at me. He raised his head, eyes red with unshed tears. You are not to blame, she said firmly. You tried to save her, that's what matters. But I failed. You loved her. You risked your life for her. That's not failure. Elena reached up, touched his cheek, wiped away the tear. She knew you loved her. I'm sure she did. Marcus caught her hand, held it against his face. How can you be so sure? Because I know you. You're kind, gentle, good. Elena, you took in a flawed girl no one else wanted. You never made me feel ashamed. You let me find myself. Their faces were close now, very close. You're not flawed, he whispered. You're perfect, perfect. Elena's heart stopped. Marcus, he leaned forward. She did too. Their lips almost touched. Then Marcus pulled back, stood quickly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Why not? Elena asked. Because this wasn't supposed to happen. What wasn't?
This. I wasn't supposed to care.
Care. Elena's heart soared. But you do care. Marcus looked at her. Really looked. Yes, he said quietly. God help me, I do. Good. Elena stood slowly. Her leg ached from kneeling, but she didn't care. I care too, she whispered. Elena, I know this wasn't planned. But can't we choose our own path? Marcus stared at her. This brave, beautiful woman. When had she become so strong? Your family, he started. My family threw me away. You helped me find myself. She stepped closer. You made me feel worthy. For the first time in my life. You were always worthy. Not to them, but to you, am I? Marcus reached for her hands, held them tight. Elena, you're the most worthy person I've ever known. This time, when he leaned down, she met him halfway. Their lips touched, soft, sweet, perfect. When they parted, both were breathing hard. What happens now? Elena asked. I don't know, Marcus admitted, but I know I don't want to lose you. You won't, Elena promised. Not ever. Outside, snow fell gently, but inside, by the fire, two lonely hearts had finally found home. Spring brought more than flowers. It brought a letter. Elena saw it first, her mother's handwriting, sharp, angry. Her stomach dropped. Marcus, she called. There's a letter. He took it from her shaking hands. Read quickly. His face went dark. What does it say? Elena whispered. Marcus looked at her, pain in his eyes. They want to visit. Next week. Visit? Elena's blood turned cold. Why now? They've heard rumors. About us. About how happy you seem. Happy. Her family would hate that. There's more, Marcus said quietly. Elena waited. They mention my sister. They've been talking to people in town. What kind of talking? Marcus handed her the letter. Elena read with growing horror. Her mother's words were poison. We have heard disturbing stories about the man you married. They say he killed his own sister. We cannot allow our daughter to remain with a murderer. Murderer. The word hit like a slap. Elena looked at Marcus. They don't know you, but they know the stories. Everyone does. The stories are wrong. Are they? Marcus turned away. Maybe your family is right. Maybe you should go with them. What? Elena grabbed his arm. Marcus, no. Elena, you don't understand. The guilt, it never leaves. What if I am dangerous? Stop it. Her voice was fierce. You are not dangerous. You're the kindest man I've ever known. But doubt had crept into Marcus's eyes. The old darkness was returning. Maybe it would be better. No. Elena stood in front of him. I won't let you do this. I won't let them poison what we have. But Marcus was pulling away. She could feel it. They're your family, Elena. You're my family now. The week passed in tension. Marcus grew distant, formal. Elena tried to reach him, but walls were going up again. The day her family arrived, Elena stood at the window, watched their grand carriage roll up. Her mother stepped out first. Perfect, cold, beautiful. Her father followed, stern, disapproving. Behind them, her brother Thomas, cruel eyes, mocking smile. Elena's courage wavered. These people had controlled her whole life. Mrs. Davies appeared at her elbow. You're not the same girl who arrived here, she said softly. I don't feel like it, Elena admitted. Then don't let them make you into her again. Dinner was a battlefield. Elena's mother smiled, but her eyes were ice. Elena, dear, you look different. Different how? Elena kept her voice steady, confident. It's surprising. The insult was wrapped in silk, but it still cut. Her father studied Marcus. We hear you've been busy, teaching children, playing healer. I've been helping people, Elena said. How charitable, Thomas smirked. Though some might call it unseemly. Marcus's jaw tightened. Your daughter is remarkable. The village adores her. Of course they do, her mother said. They'll take charity from anyone. Charity. Elena flinched. It's not charity, she said. I have real skills. Her brother laughed. Skills? Elena, please. You're playing dress-up. I saved a child's life last month. Lucky guess. Elena felt herself shrinking, becoming small again. Then Marcus spoke. Your daughter is the most skilled healer I've ever seen. She's taught herself medicine, started a school, earned the respect of everyone who knows her. Elena's heart swelled, but her father leaned forward. And you encourage this behavior. I encourage her to be herself. Herself? Her mother's voice turned sharp. Do you know what herself was? A burden, a disappointment, a girl no one wanted. The words hit like physical blows. Marcus stood. That's enough, is it? Thomas smiled coldly. Because we've heard interesting things about you, brother-in-law. The room went quiet. What kind of things? Marcus asked. About fires, about sisters, about murder. Elena gasped. Marcus went very still. What are you implying? We're not implying anything, her father said. We're stating facts. You killed your sister. The whole county knows it. That's not true, Elena said. Isn't it? Her mother turned to her. How do you know? Were you there? Elena looked at Marcus, begging him to defend himself, but he said nothing. Just stared at the table. I see, her mother continued. He hasn't even denied it. Because I can't, Marcus said quietly. Elena's world tilted. What? She whispered. Marcus looked at her. Pain filled his eyes. I can't deny it. Because maybe they're right. Elena felt like she couldn't breathe. Maybe I am to blame. Maybe I did kill her. Her family smiled. Victorious. We're leaving tomorrow, her father announced. Elena comes with us. No, Elena said, but her voice was small, weak. Yes, her mother said firmly. We won't leave our daughter with a murderer. Elena looked at Marcus, pleading, but he wouldn't meet her eyes. Maybe, he said softly, it would be for the best. Elena's heart shattered. The man she loved, the man who'd taught her to be strong, was giving up on them. That night, Elena didn't sleep. She paced her room, angry, hurt, confused. How could Marcus give up so easily? How could he believe their lies? But more importantly, why was she letting him? The old Elena would have accepted this, would have packed quietly, gone home to more years of shame. But she wasn't the old Elena anymore. She was stronger now, braver. She had found her voice. She wouldn't lose it now. By dawn broke grey and cold. Elena dressed carefully, not in traveling clothes. In her finest gown, the green one that made her eyes shine. She braided her hair high, stood tall. Today she would fight. At breakfast, her family waited, smug, certain of victory. Are you packed, dear? Her mother asked. No, Elena said calmly. No? Elena, don't be difficult. I'm not being difficult, I'm being clear. She sat down, poured tea with steady hands. I'm not leaving. Her father frowned. Elena, I'm not the girl you threw away, she continued. I'm not weak, I'm not broken, and I'm not yours to command. Her brother laughed. Elena, really, this is embarrassing. What's embarrassing, Elena said, standing, is how you've treated me my entire life. Her voice grew stronger with each word. You called me flawed, useless, a burden, because you were, her mother snapped. No, because you needed someone to blame for your own failures. The room went silent. Elena faced them all, chin high, eyes blazing. I limp. So what? I still saved lives, taught children, earned respect. Respect? Thomas scoffed. More respect than any of you have ever shown me. She turned to Marcus. He sat quietly, watching. And you, she said. You're letting them win. Marcus looked up. Surprised. You think you killed Sarah, but I know better. Elena. No. Listen to me. Her voice rang with authority. I've seen you with hurt animals, sick people, children. You're gentle, careful. You protect things. Tears ran down her cheeks. But she didn't stop. You didn't kill your sister. You tried to save her, just like you saved me. But I failed. You loved her. Love isn't failure. Elena turned back to her family. You want to know about Marcus? He's kind. He's honorable. He saw worth in me when you saw only shame. Her mother stood. Elena, that's enough. No, it's not nearly enough. Elena's voice carried through the house. Servants gathered in doorways. You threw me away like garbage, but Marcus saw gold. She looked at each family member. He never called me flawed, never made me feel small, never treated me like a burden. Because he needed a wife, her father said. Any wife? Wrong. Elena smiled. He could have sent me back, could have treated me badly. Instead, he let me bloom. She walked to the window, looked out at the gardens. I've found my place here. My purpose, my voice. She turned back. And I won't let you take that from me. Her mother's face was red with fury. You ungrateful child. Ungrateful? Elena laughed. For what? Years of cruelty, constant criticism, being told I was worthless. We fed you, clothed you, housed you, and made me pay for every bite, every thread, every night under your roof. Elena walked toward them. Fearless now, but I don't owe you any more. I've paid that debt with years of pain. Her father stepped forward. You'll come home, now. This is my home. We're your family. No, Elena's voice was steel. Family doesn't throw people away. Family doesn't call love a burden. She looked at Marcus. Family protects each other, believes in each other, fights for each other. Marcus stared at her. This fierce, beautiful woman. When had she become so strong? Elena faced her birth family one last time. You have no power here, over me, over my husband, over my life. Your husband is a murderer, her mother hissed. My husband is a good man, haunted by tragedy. There's a difference. Elena moved to Marcus's side, took his hand. And I choose him. Today, tomorrow, always. Marcus squeezed her fingers, strength flowing between them. Now, Elena said to her family, you have a choice. You can accept our marriage with grace, or you can leave forever. The silence stretched long. Finally, her father spoke. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret, Elena said, is not finding my voice sooner. Her family left without another word. Elena watched their carriage disappear down the drive. Then she turned to Marcus. Well, she asked. He looked at her with wonder. with love, with pride.
Well, what?
Are you going to let them win? Marcus stood slowly, walked to her.
No, he said. I'm going to fight for us.
He pulled her into his arms. My brave, beautiful wife. My good, honorable husband. They kissed in front of the servants. In front of the world. Elena had found her voice, and she would never lose it again. Summer brought new visitors, but these were welcome. Dr. Hayes arrived from London, an old friend of Marcus's late father. He'd heard about Elena's healing work, wanted to meet her. Remarkable, he said, after watching her treat a farmer's infected wound. You have real skill. Elena glowed with pride.
Would you consider formal training? He asked.
Training, medical training. There's a program in Edinburgh for women healers. Elena looked at Marcus. He smiled. If it's what you want, he said. What she wanted. Her choice. Her path. Yes, she said. I'd like that very much. Oh yeah. But Dr. Hayes brought more than opportunity. He brought information. That evening after dinner, he grew serious. Marcus, there's something you should know about the fire. Marcus stiffened. What about it? I've been asking questions, quietly. Elena took Marcus's hand. There was a witness, Dr. Hayes continued. Someone who saw what really happened. Who? Marcus asked. Mrs. Whitmore, your neighbor. She was afraid to speak before, but guilt finally overcame her fear. Elena's heart pounded. She saw you run into the flames, saw you carry Sarah out, saw you try to revive her. Dr. Hayes paused. But she also saw something else, someone else. What do you mean? Elena asked. Sarah wasn't alone when the fire started. Marcus went very still. There was a young man with her. In the kitchen, they were close. Understanding dawned in Elena's eyes. Sarah had a lover? More than that. She was pregnant. Marcus gasped. The boy panicked when the fire started. He ran, left her behind. Who was he? Marcus demanded. Thomas Brixton, the blacksmith's son. Elena recognized the name. He left town right after the fire, because he knew what he'd done. He let your sister die to save himself. Marcus buried his face in his hands. All these years, I thought, you thought it was your fault. But it wasn't. It never was. Elena wrapped her arms around her husband. Mrs. Whitmore is prepared to testify, Dr. Hayes said. To clear your name publicly. Why now? Marcus asked. Because she's dying. And she can't take the secret to her grave. Please. The truth spread quickly through the county. Marcus wasn't a murderer. He was a hero who'd tried to save his sister. The real coward was Thomas Brixton, who'd abandoned a pregnant girl to die. People came to apologize, to ask forgiveness. Marcus accepted graciously. But Elena saw the weight lifting from his shoulders. How do you feel? She asked one evening. Free, he said simply. For the first time in 3 years. Elena smiled. Good. You deserve freedom. We both do. Autumn brought Elena's family again. But this time was different. They came quietly, humbly. We heard the news, her father said, about Marcus, about the truth. And Ella asked coolly. We were wrong, her mother admitted. About him, about other things. Elena waited. We'd like to make amends. Amends. We realize we weren't kind to you. Elena almost laughed. Weren't kind. That was one way to put it. You destroyed my confidence, made me feel worthless, threw me away like trash. The parents flinched. But Elena continued, you also led me to Marcus, to real love, to the life I was meant to have. She looked at them calmly. So, in a strange way, thank you. Does this mean, can you forgive us? her mother asked. Elena considered. The old hurt was still there, but it had lost its power. I can forgive, she said, but I can't forget, and I won't pretend we're close. We understand, her father said. You're welcome to visit. Occasionally, but this is my home now. These are my people. Her parents nodded, grateful for even that much. After they left, Marcus found Elena in the garden. How was that? He asked. Satisfying, Elena said. But also sad. Sad. They missed so much by not seeing who I really was. Marcus pulled her close. Their loss. Completely their loss. Elena leaned into his warmth. I love you, she said. I love you too. They'd both found their way out of darkness. Together. 5 years later, Elena walked through her medical clinic. The first of its kind in the county. Patients filled the waiting room. Men, women, children, all seeking her help. She smiled at Mrs. Davies, who now managed the clinic. How many today? Elena asked. 23. And Dr. Hayes sent word. Your Edinburgh certification arrived. Elena's heart soared. Official recognition. She was now a licensed healer. Marcus appeared in the doorway. Still handsome, still kind, but no longer haunted. Dr. Elena Thornfield, he said proudly. She laughed. It does have a nice sound. And note, their house had changed too. Children's laughter echoed through halls that once stood silent. Little Sarah, named for Marcus's sister, age 3, dark hair, bright eyes. Baby James, 6 months old. Elena's miracle after the doctors said she might never conceive. Mama, Sarah ran to her. Look what Papa taught me. She showed off a perfect curtsy. Beautiful, darling, Elena said. Just like you. Marcus watched them together. His wife, his children, his joy. That evening, they sat by the fire, just like their first winter together. But everything was different now. Elena wore confidence like a crown. Marcus had found peace. Their love had grown from careful friendship to passionate devotion. Do you ever think about it? Marcus asked. How we almost didn't happen. What do you mean? If your family hadn't been so cruel, if mine hadn't been so desperate to marry me off, we might never have met. Elena considered this. I think we would have found each other, she said. Somehow, somewhere. You think so? Broken souls recognize each other. We were both looking for healing. Marcus kissed her temple. I love your mind, he said. I love your heart, she replied. Shit. The village school, Elena, had started now had 3 teachers, over 60 students. The medical clinic served 5 counties. Elena had written a book about herbal healing. It was being published in London. She was invited to speak at medical conferences. The woman with a limp who'd revolutionized rural healthcare. But success hadn't changed her. She was still gentle, still kind, still amazed by her good fortune. One Sunday after church, they walked through the cemetery. Elena laid flowers on Sarah's grave. I wish I could have met her, Elena said. She would have loved you, Marcus replied. You would have been great friends. Elena touched the headstone. I try to honor her memory through the clinic. The children I help. You do. Every day. They stood in comfortable silence. Then little Sarah tugged at Elena's skirt. Mama, who is this? Your Aunt Sarah. Your Papa's sister. The one I'm named for. Yes, darling. Was she pretty like you? Elena's heart melted. Pretty. Her daughter thought she was pretty. She was beautiful, Marcus said. Inside and out. Just like your mama. Walking home, Elena reflected on her journey. From the unwanted girl with a limp to the respected healer with a loving family. From feeling worthless to knowing her true value. From being called flawed to being celebrated as perfect. Not perfect in body, but perfect in spirit. Perfect in purpose. Perfect in love. Yay! That night, as she tucked little Sarah into bed, her daughter asked, "Mama, will you tell me a story?" "What kind of story?" "A true one, about a princess who was sad but became happy." Elena smiled. "I know just the story." She sat on the bed, smoothed her daughter's hair. "Once upon a time there was a girl who thought she was broken." Outside, Marcus listened from the hallway. His wife's voice, telling their story, their daughter's sleepy questions. He smiled. Once, this house had echoed with loneliness. Now it rang with love. Once, he'd been a man haunted by guilt. Now he was simply happy. Elena emerged from the nursery, saw him waiting. "Good story?" he asked. "The best kind," she said. "True love, happy ending, dreams coming true." He took her hand. "Come on, Dr. Thornfield. Let's go home." "We are home," Elena said. And they were. They'd both traveled long, painful roads to reach this place. But it had been worth every step, every tear, every struggle, every moment of doubt, because it had led them here, to each other, to love, to the life they built together. Elena no longer limped through life. She walked tall, proud, strong. The girl once called flawed had become a woman called blessed, and she would never, ever be broken again. Years passed like pages in a beautiful book. Their children grew. Their love deepened. Their legacy spread. The clinic became a hospital. The school became a college. Elena's name was remembered long after she was gone. Not as the girl with a limp, but as the healer who saved thousands, the teacher who educated generations, the woman who proved that worth isn't measured by perfection, but by purpose. And Marcus, he was remembered as the man who saw gold where others saw only flaws, who loved completely, proudly, forever. Their story became legend in the county, a reminder that sometimes the most broken people find the most beautiful healing. Sometimes the most unlikely matches create the strongest bonds. Sometimes love doesn't just happen. It's built day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment, until it becomes unbreakable, until it becomes perfect. Not perfect because it's flawless, but perfect because it's real. Perfect because it's theirs. Perfect because it's love.